Do you have to write a research paper with peer-reviewed academic journal articles? Maybe you've never done that before. Maybe you're not really sure how to discriminate between what's a good source and a bad source. The purpose of this video today is to go over that and how to navigate the resources that are available to you as students. We're going to go through the library page and we're going to search some databases, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So with that, let's jump into it and get started.
Here we are at the Northeast State homepage. This is the very first page. When you type in Northeast State into Google or into your web browser, it'll take you right here to this page. So what I'm going to do to navigate to the library, there's a few different ways that I can get there, but the way that I prefer to get there is to click on Campus Resources up here in the top little navigation bar, and I'm going to scroll down to Library. This is going to be our splash page. Now I can type in autism right here and hit search, but what we're going to find is that is going to take us to just a general search on whatever the query is that I've just typed into the field. So you guys can see here, it's got books, it's got videos, it's got reference entries, it has articles, it has a whole bunch of stuff, and there are more results. We can even see down here over in the Tweak Your Results section, there's, hundreds of thousands of material here that we can go through. I don't know about you guys, but my time is very valuable, and I do not have the time to sort through all of this material. So there's a much smarter way that we can do it. I'm going to close this page out real quick, and here we are. We're back at our home page. I'm going to click over here on Databases. Now, once I go to here, these are all of the databases that we have access to as students, as faculty. Now, you could probably say, gee, I'm going to go down here to education, and I'm going to go to journal articles. So here, there are 11 databases for this particular criteria that I've entered in. So here we've got our best bets. I've got the Chronicle of Higher Education, I have Education Full Text, I have Educator's Complete Reference, I have ERIC, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. And it even goes down even further. So I'm going to click on ERIC. I've used ERIC quite a bit in my career as a student and as an educator, and it is a very comprehensive educational database. Now, I can go right here and I can type autism and I can hit search. And this pulls up over 16,000 results. Again, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a tremendous amount of time to do this. So also, I can narrow my searches, I can narrow the queries down by publication date. Now, one of the things that's really interesting about APA is it's very dependent on the date, the year in which whatever article, whatever book was published. So it's so incredibly important that you guys pay attention to the date of publication, not really the month and the day, but the year of publication. And the analogy that I like to say is, if I'm looking to learn about current events that are going on in the news, I want to find material and information that is as current as possible. It doesn't do me any good to find a newspaper article from 2008 for me to learn about what's going on in the world today. That information is outdated by a dozen years. The same is true with research. So over here, publication date, I can sort by what has been published so far in 2020. I can publish since in the last 5 years. I can publish in the last 10 years. I would encourage you all, and it's dependent on whatever professor you have or whatever the topic it is that you're doing research on, but I would encourage you guys to look for maybe the last 10 years, but probably the last 5 years. So even in the last 5 years, there's almost 4,100 different results. Now, I'm going to narrow this down even further. The one thing I haven't addressed yet is that I could click on this and I can go to direct link, and here we go. I've just clicked on this article. It's from Sage. That's a very well-known journal publication in the world. And I could click on download PDF. But wait a minute, it's saying I don't have access. Ah, man, I can't do that. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to filter some results. So I'm going to click on full text only. I'm going to search. So I've gone from almost 4,100 to just over 1,400. So I've reduced that by quite a bit. So from here, you'll see this little link right here, download full text, download full text, download, so on and so forth. So let's say that this fits in line with what it is that I'm writing on. I can download the full text. There we go. We can see here that it's 4 pages. I've got my little abstract. I've got my author. And here is it's the BU Journal of Graduate Studies and Education, Volume 9, Issue 1, 2017. So I've got all of the information that's needed for my APA citation, for doing in-text citations if I choose to do that. The downside with this is that it's going to require a little bit of time. And a lot of the time, students aren't used to sitting down and spending half an hour to an hour, some quality time, doing some work and finding their sources. Now, depending on the class that you're taking, the level of class, depending on the assignment, you may have to only have maybe a very small handful of sources. Maybe we're talking about 2, maybe 3. If you're in more higher level, very major specific classes, or if this is a very big comprehensive assignment, you may need a dozen or more sources. And this is how you go about finding them. Now, before we conclude this, let me go back. I'm going to go to northeaststate.edu, and I want to show you guys a different resource. So I'm going to go back to databases. I'm going to click on EBSCO. I'm going to click that. Now, EBSCO is a little bit different. It's a very comprehensive, again, just like ERIC is. These are not the only 2 that you can use, but these are the 2 that I have the most experience with. And I would encourage you to just play around with some of these. Play around with some of the databases. Get in here and do some searching. If you find yourself, you've got 10, 20 minutes in between classes, just get on here and play around, because what you're doing is you're teaching yourself, and you're kind of filling out what are the boundaries of the sandbox here that you're playing in. So here I'm in EBSCO. I could just type in autism, and I can go from there. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here. Now, what you'll see here is that these are ebooks. So these are going to be quite a bit more substantial. Over here, I've refined my results. I've limited these to full text. If I don't limit to full text, I could just get an abstract, or it's going to be, or I'm going to have to get behind a paywall. Let me close this out here. Or I'm going to have to get through a paywall. And I don't know about you guys, but some of this stuff costs. And to be honest, I really don't want to pay for it. And you probably don't either. We can also do the exact same thing that we did on ERIC. We can limit our publication date. So I could go to 2010, and that's going to filter down our results. So there are 317 results that I have full text, and then I can also even narrow that down even further, and I can download the texts. So right here, let's say that this is what I want to do. I can do the full text. Now you'll see this is a book, not a journal article. But here there's probably some information that I can use for the research that I'm going to be doing for this particular assignment that I've got to work on. So again, you've got all of the information. I have the author, I have the date, I've got the name, I've got the publication company. I have everything that I can use for my sources. So what we see is that it's not difficult to find the sources once you know how to use the tools. And if you guys have any other questions, I encourage you to ask your instructor, ask your professor, because they have a lot of experience using these sources to help find information. And with that, this is going to conclude our video on how to find resources and how to find that research, and how to narrow those things down so that not only can you access the full material, but you can download it if you need to. I hope that you guys have found this helpful, and I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.